I'm talking to my friend and colleague, Angie Pettyjohn, who is a fantabulous mortgage broker. Um, Even though we have different businesses and careers, we were sort of chatting the other day about we have some of the same challenges, and I'm sure that you watching do as well. And we thought we'd get together today and talk a little bit about how to focus during this time of chaos, personally, business wise, all of the things. So, first, I'm just going to let Angie introduce herself and I'll introduce myself, and then we'll get down to business. Tell us about yourself, Angie.
Sure. Thanks, Eleni. Thanks for asking me to come on. It's a real privilege. Um, my name is Angie. I'm with Mortgage Alliance, and I am CEO of a small group of mortgage agents within Mortgage Alliance. And yeah, our business pretty much was unaffected negatively last year. And in fact, we doubled our volumes. And
Wow.
yeah. Not to say that in March, when we got the news that everything was shutting down, that we were not hurt and heartbroken for everybody and scared for our own business. I have my own expenses. I have my own mortgage and
Yeah.
deadlines and financial obligations that I have to meet as for my own home and for the business perspective as well. So it did take me a couple of days to figure out, okay, where do we go from here, and what am I going to do? So yeah, it was very scary. But what I ended up doing was speaking to other professionals in the field. Our lead broker, a phenomenal person. Like, she's one that I aspire to, one that I look up to. So I firmly believe to have people in your court that you admire and want to be like, emulate. And she's one of them, Claire Drage. So one thing she had said was, don't use COVID as an excuse. So
Right.
don't use COVID as an excuse. Like, keep going. And our dear friend Kelly Manateas, right, of integrative coaching, her thing was, I said to her, Kelly, what do I do? And she said to me, well, I said, do I change my goals? Because there's no way I'm going to double my numbers, because that was my goals. There's no way I'm going to double my numbers. And she said, no, you just change how you're going to get there.
100%.
Oh, yeah. How was I going to get there amidst all this craziness and chaos, right?
Yeah, and you did it.
I did it. I had no idea at the time how I was going to do it. And, we adjusted what we did on social media. We adjusted so my main role as the CEO of the Pettyjohn team is to network, is to be out and, be the face of the organization. And I just didn't know how I was going to do that now, because I was doing everything face to face before. So here I am in my mid 50s, and I had to learn how to Zoom. I mean, you think back in March, I had no idea what Zoom was. I think I had gone on it once before, and I didn't even turn my camera on because I didn't want to be on camera. Massive fears.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I did was, well, I hired you. You helped me get over some of my fears that I didn't realize that I had, that were limiting me from, the focus, the vision. So if you have these limiting beliefs, it doesn't matter how many times you write down your goals, you're going to stumble. You're not going to get up.
Your unconscious mind is always driving the bus.
Yeah. I mean, those are three things. And I guess the main focus in that is have people in your court who believe and see and believe in you, and talk to those people on an ongoing basis. And I'm so fortunate that I have amazing women like yourself and Kelly and Claire, my daughter, Victoria, like these women who are drivers and who are doing what I want to do. regardless of what field we're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think community is really important right now, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to introduce myself quickly in case people are like, who the heck are you? And then, yeah, I'm just making notes here because as we talk, some things are coming in my mind. If you see me doing this, that's what I'm doing.
Sure.
I'm not like, oh, this is boring me. Um, so I'm Eleni Capitanius, and I'm a rapid relief coach, and I help people eliminate anxiety and PTSD without having to talk about it so that they can go on to rediscover the joy in life, access calm, and feel in control. So obviously I'm quite busy right now with, but I wasn't for a while. And so when we're talking about the pivoting that has to happen, I was already seeing clients on Zoom. I have clients all over the world, but I also had an office locally. And, you know, I had to transition those people over. And then there was a time period when we first locked down, I think it was March, April, where I was like tumbleweed. There was nothing going on in my business. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, right? Like I know people need me. And then I think as the reality kind of set in that, you know, we're here for a bit and I need to deal with this stuff that I'm going through. And I also found that a lot of my clients who I'd worked with in the past who were, you know, had been great, now we're having some things come back because of COVID, right? And the situation. So, you know, which obviously is something that we can't control. So, you know, I've had to pivot my business that way. I've, you know, have some different offerings at different price points and, you know, things like that. So I'm loving to see how entrepreneurs are doing that pivot. I think it's really fascinating. And, you know, when you're talking about community, I started to think, I don't know if you've read these articles where it was talking about how women are the most affected financially during this COVID crisis and how women are tending to take the brunt of, oh, you know, my kids are in homeschool right now, you know, I have to do that and run a business and do all the things. And a lot of women are really taking a hit. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I am seeing that on my end of the business. You know, it ultimately then affects income and it affects their ability to either purchase something again, I'm a mortgage broker, so purchase a property, refinance, or anything like that. You know, I think anything that I have done can really translate to them as well. Sticking with mindfulness exercises daily, just organizing your time daily. I've had to be very, very precise with my time. And although I don't have children at home, what my end of the scale, what I ended up doing was just diving into business and neglecting everything else, health. You know, my husband downstairs who's working himself, my son who's seems to be gaming all day long. Like this is the other spectrum.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah. So this is the other spectrum, you know. And going days, maybe just the only time we see each other is in the kitchen as we're getting whatever food, you know, we've prepared or not prepared. So my goals in that was to organize myself. And once I went through a couple weeks or even 3 weeks, I think it was even, where there was no organization. And I was spending the whole day from morning until the wee hours of the evening, just one call after another, phone call, just working. I had to stop and go, okay, there's more to this here. How about me? How about my mindset? How about my sanity? How about my health, physically, mentally, all that stuff? Because I was becoming a real grumpy bear.
So tell me about what you added into your life or got back to in order to help you with that. Because I think that, you know, we're talking about organization and scheduling, that gives us that semblance of being back in control, right? In circumstances that cannot be controlled, we need to kind of bring, right, get it where we can. So what have you been put into place in your own life?
Yeah. So I immediately, I put in my nature walks. And my fitness breaks is essentially what I had to do. And I had to schedule in my lunchtime because I wasn't eating.
Yeah.
And then when I was eating, it was junk. So it's like, oh, right. Even though I'm at home, I still need to make sure that there's time to eat, time to, let go of things and go for a walk and exercise.
Well, it's worse when you're at home, because if you were like, when I went to my office, I'd bring my food with me.
Exactly.
Right? And had be organized in that way.
Yeah.
But at home, you think, oh, I can just grab something in the kitchen, but then you get distracted, or I'm not sure. Well, your husband works at home too, right?
Yeah.
So my husband will come home and, be like, well, nothing's been done. You've been home all day. I'm like, no.
Yes.
I'm home. I'm not home, right?
This is not my work home. Day. I'm working. Yeah.
And I think that creating those boundaries, right, like you were talking about, is really important, right?
Yeah.
Because, you either work all the time because you're home and it's, accessible. You're not going to a workplace, or, you get distracted with, oh, I should probably clean out the pantry. Well, no.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
sorry.
And I went through that. I went through that. Organizing my shoe closet, or just because there was so much chaos around it, and maybe that was needed. There's just so much chaos going on. So going back to your question, I added very specific fitness breaks to my day. And I maintain a mindfulness practice. So there's, the journaling that I do. There's my meditation. And I just recently, because I needed more, I wasn't going outside as much, and I just needed more activity. So I added a 30-day yoga challenge. So I'm on day 10 right now. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's like the simplest thing. It's 30-day. It's with Adrienne. It's on YouTube.
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
She's fabulous.
I've done her workouts before. Yeah.
Gosh, 20 minutes first thing in the morning, get it done. It just helps to focus for the rest of the day. So I've implemented that as well. And you just change things as you go along. You don't have to keep walking. The weather's not conducive to walking. Let's, add in something else. But those are a must in my mind, is organizing your day, adding in those things that are going to make you feel good. And not only does it make you feel good mentally, it's also strengthening the body and the core, so that while I'm sitting here, I can sit upright and it doesn't feel like my back is burning because I don't know how to hold my core up anymore,
100%. And taking those breaks too actually makes you more productive when you do sit down to work, right? And I think that's something that we can lose sight of, is that we feel like we have to work, right? Yeah. Instead of doing that inspired action, right? The work that is beneficial. And, if I've been on the computer all day, my brain is exhausted.
Yeah.
Whereas if I take my brain, I call them my brain breaks, from back from when I had my concussion last year, my brain breaks during the day, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, to just close my eyes and do even like a body scan or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. I actually am more productive because of it. Right. And I think it is just, whether you have to set reminders, in your phone or whatever, to stop and to take that time for yourself, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of my clients are struggling with having their kids home, right? And having to do the homeschool. Now, luckily my son's 13, he can pretty much do most things on his own. But, there's some people with a lot of little kids, and, they don't even have the time to work with me because they have to have an hour, right, where they're uninterrupted and can focus, and that focus just isn't there, right? And so I think, it's sort of a matter of, I think for some women, or moms, allowing yourself to kind of let go of that perfection thing even, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
things are going to be messy right now, right? Like maybe, maybe your 6-year-old just has to do some worksheets sometimes, like, or, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or, play some video games because you have to get things done. And I think when you're talking in the beginning about organizing, right? Maybe sitting down at the beginning of the week and thinking, what can I let go of? Right.
Love it. Yeah.
And what actually really needs to happen, right? And especially
Yeah.
with the kids in school. I mean, this year, really, like, I don't know how much this year's gonna, oh, my watch is talking to me. I don't know how much this year is even gonna count for. And in the grand scheme of your kid's life,
Yeah. Yeah. But
is it worth it being so stressed out? And I struggle with that as well, right?
Yeah.
Everything has to work perfectly, and he has to be doing these things, and he has to have outside time, and blah, blah, blah. And some days I just have to let go of that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just not worth it. And, I guess also putting, like you were talking about, your fitness breaks are a non-negotiable for you.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
putting in at the beginning of the week, what can I let go of? Right. And what's non-negotiable for me? Right.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's work appointments that are going to be non-negotiable. Right. So how are you going to fill your cup back up? Right. So every morning almost every morning I do my Peloton workout, which I'm obsessed with. Or I go for a walk, or I do yoga. I do something in the morning because I'm sitting all day. Right. And I, like you, block off times to eat.
Yeah.
So I remember. And I think pre-planning your food is also important, because I feel a lot less organized and crazier if I haven't pre-planned my lunches for the week. Lunches are a big problem for me if I don't plan them. Do you find the same thing?
I tend to manage with the lunches. It's the dinners, and that's funny you say that. I because I want Jordan to be more involved, because again, he's older, he's not in school, he's not working, and what is this grown man doing to contribute for his
Right.
own life and his own mental state, right? So we started ordering, or tonight's the first one, off the chef's plate. So we have 3 meals.
Yeah. We do
week
good food.
now.
Same idea. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. And what I did was I ordered one extra food, one extra meal, so that we have enough hopefully we'll have enough. I've 2 men and myself for lunches the next day. And that's organizing, getting him involved. So he's not just
That's
surrounded
great.
with nothing. The added benefit is we're all eating healthier foods, because the dinners were the ones that I was having a hard time with.
Yeah.
And that's when, hey, let's order a pizza, because you're famished by 5-6 o'clock at night. I don't want to cook. And I don't want to go grocery shopping because of the fear of being in the stores and all that stuff. So if I can limit myself at the grocery store, and then top of that, then having great meals, it just adds to feeling better.
Yeah. And it's all, I think what we're talking about is about nourishing yourself. Right? Spirit, mind, body. If I don't eat a proper lunch, by the time I'm even cooking dinner, I'm dying and cranky. And, and I think that I notice when I've eaten enough during the day, I'm like, oh, I'm just pleasantly hungry now, right? For dinner. I'm not at a point where I'm going to rip someone's throat off.
Yeah.
Eat, and that doesn't feel good. And of course, when you're hungry, you're more likely to yell at your kids, to be cranky, you can't focus properly. And I think, with the working from home and being locked down, all of these things, although they seem like they should be obvious, aren't, because your schedule that you used to have has sort of been thrown out the window, And I think that self-nourishment, which I think that sounds better than self-care, really, because that's what you're doing, can allow you to not only feel better, but also to feel, have better relationships. I mean, we're locked down with the people in our houses,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, a whole lot of yelling and craziness is not going to make anyone feel any better about this. So,
Yeah. Something else as you were talking, as I'm thinking about how I've nourished my body, my soul, my mind, is also limiting the amount of time I'm watching the news.
oh my gosh, yes.
Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I need to understand the news for my job. I need to know what's
Mm-hmm.
happening. And I do,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm limiting the amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say that after the last couple of days being fixed to CNN just with what's
Oh.
happening.
Mhm.
However, uh, I do realize that it was too much, and I did realize by this morning I had to spend more time with my yoga and my meditation, because
Me too.
there was a sense of anxiety in my body I didn't even realize had
Mm-hmm.
escalated because I'd spent so much time. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I need to limit how much time I'm
Mm.
exposing myself to that. And I'm a firm believer, garbage in, garbage out, right? And that is a key
Yes.
thing.
Oh
Social
yeah, that's
media, right?
huge.
Yeah.
Um, Luckily, I mean, my son is an anxious kid and he is obsessed with uh, American politics. And so, we did get sucked into watching the riots and everything, but then I sort of was like, oh my gosh, I don't want him watching any more of this. So luckily it kind of clicks in and I try to limit it because his anxiety level will also
Yeah.
start to go up, right? Because it's just so negative. And, it's that whole idea of things we can't control versus things we can't control, right?
I
Which is
agree.
huge right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We can only control us and our, beliefs, feelings, thoughts, actions. And yeah, but it is a challenging time. But I think taking some time to think and put these things in place can make a huge difference, right?
Yeah. And I think having a really positive support system, I know we touched on that
Mm-hmm.
earlier. Your go-to persons or people that you're going to go to
Mm-hmm.
when you're not feeling, because everyone's feeling out of sorts for one reason or another. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things we can't control. um, we can't see ourselves face to face, but there's this wonderful medium, meeting on Zoom,
Yeah.
and there's lots that we can do, and it's not going to be perfect, but accept that it's not going to be perfect. I think that's another key thing.
Yeah. Yes. Letting go of perfection for sure. And also, oh, I had a thought around that and then it went away. Perfection. Uh, it will come back to me.
Yeah, there you go. We're not perfect. It's a proof right there, right?
No,
You know what?
in and out.
My heart really goes out to all those moms, those single moms. Like, you think of the support that we all have,
Mm-hmm.
that we take for granted. Oh, my husband is home, but he can put a pot of water on. He can do all this stuff. But you got that single mom who needs to be working, who has to put her job aside because she has no choice just to have this child
Mm-hmm.
online from so and so to so and so. And there's only so much, I guess, you can, you're not perfect. But the worst
Mm-hmm.
thing is, not only do you know you're not perfect, you almost have the reverse happening. You feel you're a failure,
Yes,
right?
exactly. And it's the perfection thing, right? And always trying to live up to this idealized version of a mom, right? Which
Yeah.
you can never reach, right? You know, yeah, my sister, she's in school full time online and she has three kids. She has a 7-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 13-year-old that all have to be homeschooling. The little guy needs help, and she's supposed to be online in school all the time. And she's like, what am I supposed to do? Right. And I find that there isn't the support, and I don't know what the answer is, for people in these situations, right? I mean, if I had a 6 or a 5-year-old, I couldn't be doing this interview probably. I would be having to get him lunch or right. And so it's very challenging for moms right now. And I'm sure some dads, and I'm not discounting the dads that, show up and do all the
parent. It's the single parent that have the younger children who have to juggle their work and being a teacher. I just anyway.
Letting go of it, right?
Letting go of it. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have that happening in my life. I guess I would adapt to it.
I mean, what else can you do?
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah. So I think, that hopefully we've come up with some good strategies for people. Organizing, thinking about what can I let go of, nourishing yourself on all different levels. Am I forgetting anything?
Garbage in, garbage out, eliminating.
Yes.
Eliminating some bad news during the day.
Yes, I have unfriended so many people. Facebook.
Yeah.
Nope. And I guess too, being kind to yourself, giving yourself a break, right? And, I think earlier on in the pandemic, I was reading articles about, remember in the beginning when people were being so productive, I'm making sourdough bread and I'm doing these things. And then, right. And some people were like, I can barely open my eyes, right? I can barely function. And it just, again, is that comparison, right? And I literally have no desire to make sourdough bread or do anything like that, crafty wise. But there's some days where if all you can do is snuggle with your kid on a school day and watch Netflix, then have at it and let go of that guilt, right? Because, I even feel like, I don't know, this sounds maybe dumb, but my husband is a huge Raptors fan and they're sucking right now. And, everybody's like really mad about it. But I said to my husband, I'm like, yeah, but you know what? These men are away from their families and their support systems, really, right? They're isolated, they're in a different place, and they're playing to empty stadiums. How are we expecting them to be the same as they were 2 years ago, right? It's just, and I know they do a lot of mental work, right? Those high level sports teams, but at the same time, right? It has to be affecting you. So then how do we expect our kids to go to online school and get exactly the same grades and be, whoop-de-doo about everything, or even ourselves, right? So I think aligning your expectations maybe is also important, right? And that there's days where if I get one thing on my list checked off, maybe that's okay, and just kind of figuring out the balance, right?
There's this thing, it's like the 2-minute mindset, like where you write down, what is your goal for today? I'm getting out of bed today. I'm getting out of my pajamas today. Like, what is your goal for the day? And just achieve that.
Well, what I like about the Peloton workouts is that the instructors are super motivating, but they often say, like, you got up today and you're on the bike. Amazing.
That's what Adrian says. You're here.
Right? Exactly. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for those little things, like just showing up, right? I got myself and my kid fed today. He's alive. Yay. Right? And maybe, he's not getting outside as much as I would like or being as active or social, but I mean, what can you do? So I think allowing yourself to let go of some of those expectations is probably important right about now.
That's what I love about 2020 is that it actually allowed us that opportunity to let go of things that were not serving us so that we didn't even realize it. My dog's going to start barking. Yeah.
That's okay. It's real life, working from home.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. This was awesome, Eleni. Thank you so much for asking me to do this with you.
Thank you so much, Angie. Why don't you tell people how they can reach you if they're looking for help with mortgage or finances, looking to buy a house, sell? What is your contact information?
Thank you,
We can
Eleni.
post it too, but
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm Angie Pettyjohn, the Pettyjohn team. My number is 416-970-9107. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Yeah, it's probably the easiest way is to find us through the Pettyjohn team, Pettyjohn.
And I can say from personal experience, Angie is a phenomenal mortgage broker, and I recommend her to everyone. Awesome. All right. And we'll both post our contact info below the video when we post it so that you can find us. You can find me at www.breakthroughwitheleni, ELENI.com is my website. So hopefully you have found these tips useful and maybe feel like you're not so alone, because we're all in the same boat.
Awesome. Thank you, Lenny. I'm going to stop recording now.